Welcome, everyone, to our weekly Thursday noon podcast with Toni and Katie and Sara and Gary. And we're all kind of under the weather. I mean, I think that the stress of for many people got how do you say that? Got the best of us now. It's kind of like a detox. I have been sharing on my Facebook too that I went through an horrendous time going, and that was only leading up to the hurricane. Now, nothing was still going on, and I was a nervous wreck. And I was like, where is that coming from? But I was listening to people, and then all these people in Tennessee and North Carolina and North Georgia, what they have been going through. And I actually could see myself going through something like that. And that there is fear in you. You know better. You know not to let it get. Well, the God, I'm missing some English word here. Overhand, something like that. But it was like it was stronger than me, and then I was like, okay, I have to get off the internet. We'll just wait out the storm. But of course, I didn't do that. I had to, look at all my messages as long as I still had power and internet. And people were telling me to evacuate, and we couldn't really. And we had good reasons for that. And then it was like, well, I feel really bad for you, and I have a bad feeling about it. And my bad feeling got worse, and it didn't matter what I did. It was like we stayed up that night from what was it? From Wednesday on onto Thursday, yeah. And it was like 5, 6 o'clock, and I was like, I had enough. I'm going to bed. Whatever happens, happens. But we fared well, and it had some damage. Carport roof almost blew off. My strong husband went out in the storm and tied it down. Amazing, absolutely amazing. I love that guy, but for many reasons, but he took care of it, and otherwise we would have a lot more damages than we did. And but if I look around, and when we went out, the sun was shining, and I was like, yeah, we had to get some groceries. We didn't have any internet or power, so might as well go somewhere and see if there is any internet somewhere. The 5G tower should work. So we went into town, and my gosh, the trees, the everything that came from the trees, it was such a mess everywhere. Power lines down. And then half of the area where I live in with damaged homes. I mean, it's like I was already crying for everything that happened up north, but then seeing all of this, it's like I still don't feel, my old self, and it's difficult. And for me, I was normally I'm not that nervous, yeah, easy. Everything is, I can't say easy for me, but I have an what is the word? Help me out, guys. And nobody.
You have a knowing, you have an inner peace about it.
Yeah, yeah, I
Mhm.
usually have, but it went down the drain with everything that I saw and that I heard. It was like I didn't have that. I could only say I was a nervous
Mhm.
wreck. I was
Right.
constantly in tears.
And
And
that was your breath.
yeah, and I did that, Gary. I did the deep breathing and changing my mind, and then I went online again. It was actually a good thing that we were without power and internet for 2 days. I had to focus on other things, and
Yeah.
that worked. But yeah, of course, I couldn't do a podcast that day, but I did manage to get back to everybody who was worried about me, and that was still kind of all over the world. And that, yeah, I felt a responsibility to let them know I was doing good. But still, I'm still trying to, you think everything is normal around you, but things are not normal anywhere actually anymore. So my whole thing was, okay, I'm gonna focus on something else, and I focused on starting the master cleanse. And we were just with the four of us before we open it up live, started to talk about that. And I think Katie started with, you started with the, what was it? The grape juice. Am I correct?
Yes, yes. Well, we had talked about doing a master cleanse. Gary had said something about it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, I should do that. And so then I had the intent of possibly starting October 1st. And then because we have to listen to our bodies, and I was just like, I'm not sure I'm really ready to start the master cleanse right now on October 1st. So then I the Great Cure, the book The Great Cure came to mind. And so then I reread it. And so then after I was done rereading it, I was like, okay, I'm going to do a grape fast. So then I've been eating grapes and juicing grapes ever since then. And so now I do have some detox symptoms. But it's good. It's good. I'm so excited to have symptoms because then that means my body is healing. So I sound a little nasally today. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and then, yeah, Gary. Okay, sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
well, Dr. Morse says if you want to detox, go find he's got a cold and give him a hug.
Exactly.
Yep.
But then we learned that you cannot spread a cold.
Right.
Which I find it very interesting because I too am not feeling well, and I'm in Ohio, and I felt it like it went into my throat. I inhaled something. So those of you that know me, I'm a little bit out there on certain things I believe in. But yeah, like I think I was like, great, what was in that store? And everything. So, but we've barely even eaten. I've been really into cantaloupe though, like when I can, but I mean there was like, I don't know, almost like 4 days where we didn't eat at all. And I mean it was rough. And I've not had a detox like this in a very long time, if that's what we're calling it. But I don't know if something was in the storm because I got it right after the storm blew through here last week before it went into the Tennessee, Carolinas. I'm sorry, I'm above Tennessee, but that same storm that came through. So I don't know what it was.
It's very possible because we know there's a lot of junk in the air, and I have been staying in doors a lot, and I have amazing filters, and I clean them very often because I live in an what is it? An mining area. So these phosphate mines.
Mm.
And the air here can cause you a lot of problems. If I have a window open, then within a week my filters are black. Now just imagine that we are actually, when you are outside, you're actually breathing that in. It comes in your body.
True, but filters can't detox.
No, 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 no. But we can detox, but as long as I keep the filters clean, then at least my air that is coming back
Oh
in
yeah,
a little cleaner than the air that I would breathe in from the outside.
yeah. You don't invite it in, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Whatever enters the body can be I believe can be detoxed by the body, can be eliminated by the body. But you have to know how to do it. You have to have some good live liquids and live foods like the grapes. I mean, grapes are amazing.
Yeah, I can't get really good grapes here right now, and no more watermelons.
Wow.
So I found that actually going on the master cleanse was the easiest to do because I can always find good organic lemons.
Yeah, and not only are they good cleansers, but you're not going to make anything that costs less that will do such a profound cleansing as one.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can do 32 ounces of that stuff for about a buck and a half. And I mean, it is amazing what it will do, and the movement and the breath. That's the other part. Because when you get the minerals, when you get the nutrients you need, and you get the hydration you need, and you get the oxygen that you need through the breath work, you got to start mixing it to get energy, and that's what the movement does, and the breath does that too. But yeah,
Right.
that's how we clean.
When you talked about opening the six gates, there was a question actually on our previous podcast. When you open the gate, then what happens?
Your lymph starts to move when you open these gates. Like, let's say that just the first one, right? We always start on the left side, above and below the collarbone, and we go all the way to the outside. That opens this gate. So the lymphatic system is a pressure system, and the lowest pressure is right in gate one, which is right here. You always open gate one before you do anything. All right. And that goes for both sides. And then you go to gate two, which is behind the ear. And we pull down below the corner of the jaw from above, right behind the earlobe. This is the largest lymph node in the neck. Okay. If this gets congested, or this gets congested down here in the collarbone, the toxins start to build in the head, and it causes pressure, it causes headaches, causes all kinds of TMJ. His sinuses have a hard time to drain.
Can
So
it cause tonsil stones?
yeah, because if it can't drain, the acids are going to start building in those areas.
Okay,
And
yeah. Sorry for interrupting, but now it's going to you're moving your lymph, but what if your kidneys are not opened up to deal with that?
well, this is part of opening the gates, is now the lymph can get through to this. Think of this is the biggest gate, right? It's the lowest pressure. And all the other gates are pressurized, and it pushes it up through and into this. And if you're doing the master cleanse will dissolve all calcium deposits, scar tissue. It'll soften tissue. It'll increase circulation of both lymph and blood. But it works much better if you open the gates. And 70% of our detox is through our breath if we're breathing properly. And that moves lymph and blood, getting into areas that haven't done anything in a long time. They're congested, so that breaks that congestion up. And so the breath and the master cleanse together, or the grapes, or the I just like the master cleanse because a lot of people don't have a lot of money left, and it's the greatest effect for the least amount of money. So that's why I prefer the master cleanse. But it's not that grapes aren't awesome. I've done grape fasts. I've done a lot of different fasts, but the liquids. See, like if you're eating grapes, then there's a digestive process. So some energy is still going to digest the food. So dry fasting is a really fast way to detox. Then we go to water. Water is really fast. Melons, like watermelons, they're really fast. The master cleanse is fast. We start getting into smoothies. It takes a little bit of digestion to digest the pulp that's in a smoothie. So these are all different grades of fasting. And the herbs, same thing. Like cleavers opens the lymphatic pathways. And if you're opening the gates and you're doing cleaver's tea, or have it in a capsule or whatever, and you swallow it, see, if you swallow a tablet or a capsule, well, your digestive system has to work to break that up. So all that energy that's going to digest our food, which is about 60% of our energy, which is blood, goes to digest that food. And if your body's only producing, say, 70 or 80% of its potential because of lymphatic congestion, inflammation, same thing, Inflammation and lymphatic congestion are the same thing. It's what causes inflammation because it's not flowing. So that 60%, when you start fasting with other things like smoothies or juices or grapes or whatever, the energy can now go heal the body. It's such a simple thing. So if your body's only producing 70 or 80%, when you eat, just think of Thanksgiving dinner. How many people fall asleep? There's not enough energy to do your daily activity and digest the food. So your body is smart enough to put you to sleep. And that's what a food coma is. People that drink, like you go to a bar or something and people are drinking there and they're falling asleep while they're drinking. That's why there's not enough energy because alcohol is sugar. So it's lowering your energy because the energy is going to that area to handle the sugar, which is a poison. That's why it's in everything. And it lowers your energy down. Your adrenals are actually dropping. That's what's happening. It used to be when you had that and you were young, your adrenals would go into overdrive and you'd still have energy and you could climb or you could do whatever you wanted to do. Well, as that happens, there's more and more fatigue involved with that because there's more and more congestion and inflammation. It's stealing all the energy. And we start to get fatigued and we fall asleep when we don't want to. And so that's what's happening. You're forcing the body to deal, especially people who drink alcohol. And I don't have a problem with that. It's just that if you're falling asleep, that's why your adrenals don't have enough left in them to actually kick the energy up so that you can drink and function. So does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
You have that, well, you actually have this not only with alcohol, and you already mentioned the Thanksgiving dinner. You have that with any cooked food. When I go way back, when I was even in my 20s, and I didn't know anything about not eating bread. So of course I ate bread, but specifically the croissants, within 10 minutes, 15 minutes after eating it, it was like I was in a coma.
yeah,
Maybe for 15 minutes, and then, it's like I woke up again.
yep.
But, and that was really, really bad. And I didn't drink, so don't have that experience. But for me, it's specifically with grains.
Right. And they're fermented and they're
Grains,
sugar. They're
grains
sugar.
are fermented, or they ferment in the body.
No, they're fermented to make the bread rise. That's a fermentation process. So all bread is a fermented process. And then we eat it. So we're eating. It's kind of like, and this is why Dr. Morse doesn't like apple cider vinegar. Because even though it's got the mother in it, it's fermented. Alcohol is fermented. That's how you get the alcohol. So as it ferments and we consume it, that fermentation is inside us and it can make all kinds of things grow that we don't want there, like yeast, mold, fungus. And
Yeah,
those
not
are all
only that,
parasites.
yeah, not only that, but also the liver problems.
Yes.
So many people that it seems like everyone I talk to has problems with the liver.
Well, the food that they're creating right now, all of it is laced with stuff. I just did what did I do? Like I think it's called cell. I didn't even know the name of I'm at a convenience store. I could walk in and look, but in these drinks that are energy boosters, Well, there's a chemical in there, and I'll post it. After you post this, I'll post it in the bottom so people can see it. There are two types, and one is extremely bad for your body, and the other one is okay for your body. And they're in vitamins too, like vitamin B12. And when I post that, and I'll put vitamin B12, if you have this in there, do not take vitamin B12 with that in there. And I'll put a list of why. And I just found out about this myself. So there are vitamin B12s with the bad chemical, and there's vitamin B12 with the good chemical. If chemicals can be good. I mean, they're,
I was just going to say that.
you know, because everything is frequency, and it's either irritating our frequency internally or it's boosting it. And everything that's being used right now is to lower the energy in the body. Matter of fact, I saw a billboard on the way out. I don't know if I was in Ohio or I was in South Dakota, but it was a baby with this real scrunched up face. I posted it on Facebook, and it says, "No vaccine, no kisses." And it was a baby. No vaccine, no kisses.
That is the saddest thing.
Yeah.
But I have lived through that, where people have had babies,
Yeah.
and because I didn't get some sort of vaccine, I couldn't touch that baby as a newborn. That is so sad.
Yeah, a lot of people won't even let you, even family, like daughters and sons. If the baby comes, they won't even let the grandparents in the room or in the house. They won't even let them come over because they're not vaccinated. And this is just a big push to make sure everybody gets vaccinated. And we all know what vaccines are doing to people. They have actually, I don't remember which ones I can research that. I can't remember which ones it is, but one has to may cause blood clots, and the other one may cause myocarditis. So it's actually on the label. The problem is nobody ever gets to see the label because they're going to a doctor or a pharmacy and they're just pulling it out and shooting you. And yeah, I saw a billboard here, V here in South Dakota. High V. Get your booster and your vaccine, your flu shot and your vaccine together.
Yep. They're advertising your get your COVID shot and your flu shot all together.
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
And a lot of places, if the kids aren't up to the level that they want them, they'll get 8 vaccines in one visit, and they inject the arms, the butt, the thighs. I guess it's 6. I thought it was 8, but it might be 6. But yeah, they inject both arms. This is all in one visit. Both arms, the butt, both sides, and the thighs, both sides. Now, I don't care who you are. That has not been studied. And we have no idea. It's like right now, I think the vaccine program for when your baby is born till it's 18 has 76 vaccines. So you have a male and a female, right? Child growing up, 76 vaccines. That doesn't count. I don't think that counts flu shots and all that stuff. And they have a baby. Well, what's that? 144 vaccines going into that child. And that child's going to get 72. And by the time that child grows up, it'll probably be 80 or 100. So we're being chemically eliminated as far as I'm concerned. Then there'll be people that can do it and not have a problem. I have a friend, 2 actually. they're both 84. They're in the Qigong class. And they've had the shot and 6 boosters, both of them. Now, Sally came down with COVID, and she went and had another shot because she thought that one wore off. So because it wore off, it made her vulnerable to that. And she was blaming, because she didn't like to hug people. Well, she started to really get into the class and, and the energy and everything. And she started hugging people, and she came down with COVID. Now, that could be just a mental thing that she was going through because she didn't want to hug people. And then all of a sudden she found herself, interacting and hugging people. And because she believes that the hugs could transfer COVID, that she got COVID, and she might have just created it. So it's a mental game. That's what we're in, a spiritual, mental transfer. And you could call it a war if you want to, but it's the soul that, I don't know if it's the soul they're after, but there are things going on right now, like these storms, and they're having the ability to steer those storms, and it's scaring people. And when you're in fear, you're more susceptible to dis-ease in the body because our breath changes and our physical state changes. And my theory, I mentioned this to somebody the other day, my theory is that's what the toilet paper shortage was about. They were trying to see if people were ready, how they could cause them to panic. So they used toilet paper. And it caused a panic across America, maybe around the world. I don't know if they did it worldwide. But there was no toilet paper shortage. And because there was no toilet paper shortage, the panic made the toilet paper shortage. And that was a test. And then, but because we forget, and there was enough time passed, and all of a sudden now we have COVID, which they did all the research and was already done in 2015. And in 2017, Fauci came out and said, the next president will deal with the largest pandemic in history. How did you know that? Because it was all a plandemic. And we know that. I mean, I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but people out in the public, they don't know that. And that's what it's used for. These are all scare tactics, because when you're in fear, you can be manipulated to do whatever they want. And they have people, that's all they study, is how to manipulate people.
And it's not over yet. They have more things planned for 2025.
Yes, absolutely.
More people are awake, which is a good thing. I know that when it was known about those storms, you go to Costco or Sam's Club or Walmart, and there were rows and rows of toilet paper, and everybody was taking a whole bunch of them, toilet paper and water.
Yeah.
People still do it. They still think, and yeah, I like to see if I have enough for the next month, but not for the next 10 years.
Right. And there were people fist fighting over, and there were videos of that.
Yeah.
Fist fighting over toilet paper. Because they were so afraid, and nothing will cause dis-ease in your body like fear.
Oh, absolutely. I know that because with the fear I had before the storm, I got a huge outbreak on my skin. It
Yes.
was like, I had psoriasis for a long time, but I can't keep it you would say, under control.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, I mean, I never had an outbreak as bad as I had started during the storm. So that was my reason now to, and I didn't eat right or either, but that was my reason to start the master cleanse and give my body the chance to heal and relax more.
Yeah,
Because
and
the other thing is with the wrong foods that you eat is that you make the wrong decisions too. It's like with cooked food, depression starts and you feel bloated, you don't feel right. So it's like the fear and the nervousness, it just gets worse. And if we would only stick with our only fruit, at least for a while, or at least, when things like this happen, you would be a lot stronger. Sometimes we work a little against ourselves.
yes, definitely work against ourselves. And we tend to move with our circle of influence. And if your circle of influence is fear-based, then you will become fear-based. It's like, let's say that you're put in a situation where you were in a room with a bunch of people that coughed or had a nervous tick or whatever. After a while, if you're the only one that doesn't have that, after a while you will start doing that.
Yeah.
It's like they did an experiment. They took 6 people. 5 of them were in on what they were going to do. Only one of them didn't know exactly what they were going to do. And this was a big scientific test, because they were always trying to figure out ways to get us to do things that go against our will. These are adults. They put them in a room and they gave a long line and a short line. And they said, which line is longer? And the 5 picked the short line. And the other guy is like, you guys are crazy. That's not the short line. That's not the long line. That's the short line. In 6 weeks, he picked the short line as the longer line. Now he's going to have to be detuned because he was just brainwashed into thinking that short line was the longer line, and he knew better. And that's how easy it is to manipulate. They did a study at one of the colleges, and they had 10 students, and they had an actor. Now, they couldn't see him, but they put him in a room behind this wall, and there was a chair he was sitting on, and the students thought that chair was electric, and they could shock it, and they had a dial there, and all they had to do was turn it up, and it went right to death. It would cause death if you turned it up to 10, and it had death written right on it. And the guy that was running the test wore a lab coat. These lab coats are very dangerous. And he had a clipboard. Another thing is very dangerous. 9 out of 10 of those students electrocuted the people to death for spelling a word wrong. The guy said, they said, I can't turn that up. I can't do it. You volunteered to be in this test. Now you turn that up. And they turned it up. And 9 out of the 10 people killed the person on the other side. The guy was screaming and hollering and everything, and they had sound like he was being electrocuted. And they couldn't see him. And they killed him for misspelling a word. That's how easy it is to manipulate. The Army does it all the time. They train these kids to go kill people they never even met. And the people that sent them there, they all know each other because they're all world leaders. And they do it knowingly, whether they're doing it to thin the population or when we know it's a money grab. So these are the things we have to be very careful of, to control our breath, to control what we consume and be aware of what we consume, because they're putting, like, what's the diet pill that has it has venom from a Gila monster in it, and it paralyzes your digestive system. Ozempic. It's the #1 selling diet thing right now. I mean, it's billions of dollars that are going into people buying this, and it's paralyzing their digestive system. Now, don't tell me that they didn't know that. Yet it's FDA approved, scientifically proven to be the best thing for you if you want to go on a diet. We have to stop listening to science, because science, not all science, bought and paid for science, is pulling us further and further away from our own health. And because people believe in science, they're following along, and they can't figure out why they're sick. Well, they're sick because they're being made sick by the food we're eating. And then, like letting and you can't call them illegal immigrants anymore, because when they come over, they make them legal so that they can vote, and they're going to vote Democrat. And I don't really want to get into the politics, but somebody said the other day, why are they doing that? I said, because, and they don't have to have a vaccine. They don't have to have things to get on an airplane like we do. It's the new America. And we're the old America, and they have to erase history. We are the next, in my opinion, we are the next lost generation that nobody's going to know anything about. And 100 years from now, there'll be specialists trying to figure out handwriting, the written script. There's kids right now that in Kent Hospital, there was a girl there, 17 years old, and they were writing on the board that she could see, and she goes, "What's that say?" And they had to tell her because she couldn't read script. So all that is all shifting. It's all changing. And to me, that's what dementia and Alzheimer's is about. And that's caused by sugar, because it's in everything. And there are chemicals too, but they're things unable to cross the blood-brain barrier. And that's another thing. There's a whole group of people that believe in the blood-brain barrier, and there's a whole group of people that don't believe in it. There's a whole group of people that believe that the heart is a pump. There's a whole group of people that believe the heart is a vortex, and it's the blood going through it that makes it beat. And if you take the heart, it has 4 chambers, and they've done this thousands of times, you can unroll it, and it's just one big long muscle. And that's why they believe it's a vortex. It's doing this. It's vortexing, and it's the arteries have muscles in them that help pull the blood and push it on the other side. So no matter what you do, there's going to be somebody who thinks the opposite. And the whole thing is, and this is what I try to do, I haven't had any of my videos banned because I don't talk about any of that stuff. I talk about health, breath, hydration, nutrition, movement. And so far, that's okay to talk about. But there'll probably be a day when it won't be, because people get well when they do that. And that's not just a theory, that's a fact. We had a beautiful young woman in our class, and she had carpal tunnel so bad that every 2 to 3 minutes driving her truck, she'd have to switch hands. She could only have one hand on the wheel at a time, and her hand would get so numb and hurt so much, she'd have to put it down and put the other one up. And she didn't attend that many classes, and I have a thing that she wrote me a text. She was driving down the road, and she realized she'd been driving for 15 minutes with one hand on the wheel, and there was no pain. There was no numbness. because it'll eliminate carpal tunnel. There isn't anything in the body, dis-ease-wise, that the body can't fix. But it takes those things. It takes proper hydration, nutrition, oxygen, not exercise, movement. You know, it's everything on television at 100 miles an hour. There is no rest. When you go to work for somebody, if you sit down for a minute, what are you doing sitting down? And, you know, you get a break and you get a lunch and you get another break in the afternoon and then you go home. And what do you do when you go home? Well, you have chores you have to do, and there's no rest and relaxation. So these are things that we have to look at and change our lives, because we're being driven just like cattle. I'm not saying we're cattle. I'm saying like cattle, that we're driven like cattle. And the faster they can get us to go, the sooner we burn out. So, okay. Anybody else?
I was still thinking about that moving lymph, because when my kidneys were not working as they should,
Yeah.
and I did a lot of the bouncing on that little trampoline,
Yep.
I got a really big painful bump on my calf, and that was, you know, something wasn't working right, and we were taught by Dr. Morse, before you start really moving the lymph with dry brushing and some movements, you need to get your kidneys to filter. Now, is that not a concern then when we teach people the 6 gates and opening the 6th gate and get the lymph to move?
Well, like that lump that was on the back of your calf, that gate was closed. That's gate 6. So as you're moving, you're building toxins, and they're getting jammed there. So when you open that gate, it allows it to flow. And if it's flowing, the kidneys will start to flow too. At least that's my theory. But you need
Got it.
Okay. Yeah. And you don't need exercise. You don't need to go out and run a mile. You know, lay on the floor and stretch. You're as young as your spine and your hips are flexible. So, and the thing is, we don't have to start by going out and this is probably more what Dr. Morse is talking about. I'm talking about relaxation. Most people are talking about exercise. So the kidneys aren't filtering, and they go out and start running, or they go out and start doing heavy physical activity. But if you're into breath and relaxation, meditation, you give your kidneys permission to heal themselves, then they will, because your body has to do what you tell it.
I like that. Your body has to do what you tell them. Yes,
it has to do what you tell it. And if you're not telling it anything, that's when it starts to have problems, because it doesn't know what to do. If there's confusion up here, there's confusion here, and confusion here is confusion through the whole body. It's chaos. It doesn't know what to do. And that's why a lot of people, you know, in the world is full of chaos. But if you aren't grounded in what you believe, no matter what anybody else says, if you're not grounded in what you believe, there's a good chance that dis-ease is going to start to build in your body. We're pushing and we're driving, and those are the words that we hear. You know, guys, growing up, you cry during a movie. Oh, you cry, baby. You know, and you got to be a man, and you got to, you know, you get hurt and you got to shake that off and get out there and keep driving and driving. Well, eventually your body's going to break down because you're not taking care of it. You're driving it. And it's like micromanaging something, which is what's happening in the scientific world. They're trying to micromanage nature. They're trying to micromanage everything that's supposed to happen within the body. Well, anything that you micromanage with pills or whatever, right? Not natural things like grapes and Master Cleanse and real food, live food that has hydration in it. It's going to break down. It doesn't have a choice because there's such a lack of oxygen. That's what fatigue is. You know, you start running, and after a while you have to stop. It's because the acid is building in the body and it can't be eliminated, and you're out of oxygen. And as soon as you're out of oxygen, more acids start to build in the body. And then you get sore and you get stiff. You know, it's lactic acid from movement, and your joints hurt. That's why. So when we relax and we just take a breath, you know, in through the nose and hold, and then nice slow exhale, longer than we inhaled through the nose, because through the nose is rest, digest, and heal. It's a parasympathetic. Through the mouth is fight or flight. That's the sympathetic side. So when you're running and you're breathing through your nose, your body's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. When you start breathing through your mouth, after you get down there a ways, that's lack of oxygen. And that lack of oxygen causes lactic acid to build in the body. And the more you push, now, when you're young, you can push through that. And after like double sessions in football, let's say in high school, those kids go in there and they may be lame for a week, but then all of a sudden it starts to come out of it because the lymphatic system is starting to be able to eliminate to the activity level that you're putting on the body. Well, as you get older, you can't do that. Or it's not that you can't, but very few can, because you're already congested. So you're putting more congestion, more acid on top of the acid that was already there, because you're not cleaning your body out. Look at like Kenya, right? They win almost every foot race they're in because their body is able to eliminate acids at the same pace or maybe faster than they're being built in the body. And their oxygen level, because their lung capacity and utilization of putting oxygen in the blood is at a point that they can run all day. They can run for 3 days if they want to. There are tribes out there that do that. They don't even stop to go to the bathroom. They just go while they're running. The Native Americans used to do that. They were some of the greatest runners in the world. But modern food came, then alcohol, you know, and fear and stress and not knowing when they're going to be attacked or who's going to attack them, which is what we do. We're sitting back waiting for the next event to happen. And because of that, and because we know it's coming, we hold that in us, in our brain, in our breath, in our heart, in our lungs, liver, kidneys. They all get that. So it's the slowing down. They don't want you going slow. They don't want you breathing. If they did, they'd teach you. Like that post that was on Facebook. I think I posted it as well. Things doctors don't want you doing. They don't want you going in the sun. They don't. I mean, I know there's like 15, 20 things there. And those are all the things that make you healthy, wealthy, and wise. So we're just sitting in our chairs waiting, right? And the stress of just sitting. Sitting is the new smoking, right? Why? Because you're closing off the 6 gates. You know, your gurus, if you want to call them that, that live in the mountains, and all they do is sit, and they eat very little, and they breathe, they meditate, and they send the energy, instead of the energy going out, it goes back up, and it gives life to the mind and the heart and the breath. And they don't look healthy, but they are healthy because they live incredible long lives. We're overeating, we're overstressed, where our food has chemicals in it that completely flip what would be natural, because they're trying to control. Like, the medical system does not believe that the body can heal itself. You have to have medication. So here's a synthetic med that we made in a lab under artificial light, put it in this tablet with MSG. Usually MSG is what holds the pill together. Doesn't have to be, but that is a lot of what's on that. And we swallow that. Well, MSG affects your heart rate. It affects your breath. And you feel like you're going to have a panic attack. Unless you control your breath and take that away, you can bring a panic attack on just with your breath, just with your thinking. Because we're not grounded. We're not solid in what we think or believe. You know, these synthetic meds usually end up destroying what you're taking them for. Like if it's for cartilage, it'll end up destroying that cartilage. And cortisol, when they shoot cortisol, let's say in your knee, it's very painful. And that destroys cartilage. Just take your knee or sit on a table and just let your feet hang down. You could put like a 1 pound weight around your ankle. You don't have to, though, because the body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. You let your feet hang down and you just slowly move your foot in a circle, one way and then the other, and then back and forth, right? And what that does is it pulls the joint apart just a little tiny bit, and the fluid goes in. And when that fluid goes in and you stand up, the knee pain goes away. But you have to keep doing it. You may have to do it 5-6 times a day. We have a gentleman in the class that has very bad knees. And I had him do that one time. The problem is he has a little dementia too, which is lack of oxygen and hydration and nutrition. So he can't remember to do it. But when he comes to class and I have him do that, his knees feel better when he stands up because there's fluid in there. And that fluid is the cushion. And that's gate 6. When you open up gate 6 in the back of your knee, blood and lymph start to flow into the knee. And that's the cushion. That's the barrier. And it's feeding the cells, and it'll regenerate cartilage. Because everything is a cell. And if it's not getting what it needs, it's either dying of thirst, it's dying of lack of nutrition, or oxygen. Because it takes those 3 things to make that happen. Because they're us. They're just little mini me's. And that's what's so important about that, is to remember it's a cell. And it needs grounding to the earth. The earth has a negative charge, and our cells, our red blood cells, have a negative charge, and they get sticky and they clump together. And when you ground yourself to the earth, because they're losing their magnetism, when you ground to the earth with your bare feet or lay down, put your hands working in the garden, okay, it re-energizes all your red blood cells and they separate, which means the blood can flow through easier. It takes less energy for the blood to get where it needs to go. Because you remember, on your fingers, it has to come up and go around and go back, each finger. Well, if the blood is clumpy and the negative charge is not enough, it gets stuck. It can't get around, and you end up with cold hands and cold feet because they're the furthest part of the body, away from the body anyway. You know, the core of the body is going to save itself. This is why people have issues with their feet and their hands, you know, like diabetes and in your eyes. This is lymphatic fluid in here. So you get floaters, you know, you can move your eyes around and you see these things floating by. Master Cleanse will get rid of that. Skull Cap, Eye Bright, they go up and they start to clean that up. They alkalize it and start to clean it and open up those pathways so they can drain, which is right down through here. You massage it, you go in and I do 9 now. 9 is like a golden number, 369. So with 9, 18, 672, I think it is. I don't know. Anyway, as it goes up, I think it is 72. You want to keep those specific numbers. Whatever 9 creates on the way up, do that as your exercise. But 9 is plenty. So we'll go through that again. You start on the left side. This is gate 1. And we rub back and forth. And if there's any sore spots there, you know, don't push on them real hard. Just rub on them. Okay. And we do 9. So I'll do it now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we go behind the ear, which is right behind the earlobe. There's a little hole right there. Okay. And we pull our finger down around the point of the jaw. And we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Do the same thing on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Now there's a lot of lymph nodes up in the head area. Okay. And they all have to drain through here. Then we pull down on the muscle on the side of the neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Same thing right here where the shoulder rolls into the chest plate, and under your arm, the gate is right here where the shoulder rolls into the chest plate. There's a little groove there, right? So I like to go down under and pull up and then go up in that groove. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you do the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, whatever lymph is going to come up through has to come through this gate to get to gate 1. This is the lowest pressure. So all the high pressure of your whole body, right from your toes all the way up, all that lymph comes up and it goes into that gate because it's the lowest pressure. So the pressure at the bottom is high and it pushes it up and it has to drop in to this gate right here. Up here, you notice how short the distance is between gate 1 and gate 2. That's, as you think, you are creating and burning a lot of energy, which gives off a lot of toxic waste. So this is gravity fed, basically. And when you open that up, it slides right down into gate 1, and then the body can eliminate it the proper way. And as it moves, it cleans itself. It's kind of like, and it'll clean all your organs and glands. This is why we massage our stomach, you know, even if you just tap your stomach. You're moving all those cells. You're causing vibration, gentle vibration, to go through, and it vibrates those cells, and they start shaking off any mucus that's causing a malabsorption. to go back and forth like this, and not pushing hard. And if it's sore, don't push hard at all. Just to where it's not sore, but if you push harder, it would be, right? And then tap. This is gate 4. Starts under the solar plexus, and it goes right down around your belly button. And we do 9, and then 9 this way. And then tap. You can tap like 50 times, 72, or whatever you want. So these are just simple things that science isn't telling us about. They don't teach you how to breathe. They wait till you can't breathe, and then you go in the hospital, and they put you on a puffer, or what? Not a puffer, but those things are for inhale. It's a machine that has little balls in it, and I can't remember if you blow on it, and the things start floating up. Well, they're telling you that you're sick, and they're telling you that you can't breathe well. They're not actually trying to help you breathe. You're watching this get weaker and weaker, and as it gets weaker, you get weaker, and your mental state is, I'm going to die because I'm running out of air. It's air. The first breath is in, and that's what gave you life. It turned on your whole electrical system because it's plasma. Your blood is plasma. The plasma in the air, as soon as they connected, gave you life. That's the first breath is in. The last breath is out. And I think they call it the rattle breath in the hospital terms, but your last breath is out. And it turns off the electrical system, and your energy goes back to source, and the body stays here. That's life. So every time we breathe in life, and we exhale, where it's the end of life. But we keep doing that over and over again. And the more we master it, because every emotion is attached to a breath. So when you cry, right, your breath changes. When you're angry, you hold your breath. And you're aggressive and your words change. When you're in love, and you're excited and you feel your energy rise. And a lot of times you could have a lot wrong with you, but when you fall in love, that all goes away. You don't even realize that you're not healthy anymore, because the energy and your mind and your heart is starting to open. I mean, that's how important breath is. It is life. Breath is life. And then we add in the nutrients and the hydration, and then movement, not exercise, movement. And the rebounder is perfect for that because it's a low impact. And you're working your whole body. It's shaking your body. And that's something we're not taught either, to shake our body. When you get sick, the body shakes. Well, why not do it ahead of time? There's all kinds of things that we can do. Flexing our wrists. This will get rid of carpal tunnel. Okay. Putting a rubber band around your fingers right here, like when you put on a letter, not a heavy rubber band, just something light. And just opening and closing your hands as an exercise. That'll get rid of carpal tunnel. Do that. Take electrical tape and wrap it around your hand. Put your hand like this, right? And just wrap electrical tape around. Not tight. Just wrap it around there. And sleep with it like that. And in about 3 weeks, your carpal tunnel will go away. Because it's here, and that tunnel is round, and your nerves slip back and forth through that as you do these things. Well, if you have your hand on a desk all day and you're doing this, you're flattening it out, and it gets inflamed. And because it's inflamed, it hurts. Your hand goes numb. It does all kinds of things. So that I don't care what's wrong with the body. There's a way to fix it. You know, I don't know who knows Dr. Joe Dispenza, but that guy's amazing. And he was in a bicycle accident, and it turned 6 of his vertebrae to sand. And they wanted to do 1 bar all the way up through his spine so that he could function and never work again or anything, or he'd be disabled. He said, you know, this was part of his enlightenment to do what he does today. He said, if that was a client, I would have told him to do it. But it wasn't, it was me. So what he did, he said no. And these are the best surgeons in the world, supposedly. And they were going to do 3 sections and see if he would go for that. And he said no. So from the accident, what he did, he was laying face down in this special thing to keep him from moving. And he refused drugs. And he just envisioned each vertebrae coming back to its original health. And in 12 weeks, he walked out of the hospital and went back to work. There's nothing we cannot create. Nothing. I mean, think about that storm. It's people praying, and the energy going up. It shifted the energy that was creating it. How many years have we been saying, oh, the police department's corrupt, oh, the firemen don't know this, and the city council's corrupt, and the government's corrupt, and politicians are corrupt, and science is corrupt, and well, we're creating it on a world level. We're the collective consciousness. We're a thread in the collective consciousness. And as we shift into more of a love state and a healing state, the world will heal with it. But the more they can drive us and steal our energy, the sicker the world will get. And we're seeing it right in front of us right now, how sick the world is getting. The chronic disease, and that's why I just talk about breath and hydration and nutrition and movement, not exercise, movement, nice, slow, direct movement, moving our hands and our joints and matching the breath with it. So when we open, that's when we breathe through the nose, creating nitric oxide, which helps the heart and the arteries relax and open. You can breathe into your kidneys. Just focus on them. Energy flows where attention goes. So if you're having a trouble with your kidneys, focus on your kidneys and your body healing them with good hydration, nutrition, and oxygen. And when you breathe, you focus on your kidneys, and the energy goes to the kidneys, the healing energy. It could be your heart, could be your lungs, could be your shoulder, could be your brain, your sinuses, doesn't matter. We breathe into them because energy flows where attention goes. And if our energy is, I'm a victim of our environment and our science and all this stuff, then that's what we're going to live. That's what we're going to create. Words are quantum energy. In the beginning, there was the word, and the word said, let there be light. And there was light. And that's what's missing in our story is we created light through word. And we speak the light and darkness into our life simply by the words we choose and the intention that we put on those words. Because they're all emotional based and they're all connected to a breath. Again, anger, right? Love, you just soften up and the words they're soft and they're pure and they're loving. And when you're angry, they're sharp and they're forceful. And they're designed to hurt, because hurting people hurt people. And we have to be the one to break the chain, to break the generations of this happening, and we're just passing it on to the next generation. You know, I was taught that I couldn't read or write, that I would never learn to read or write. And that's not true. I didn't know that till I said, I'm going to learn to read and write. And I spent 6 years living in my van, traveling around America. Not everybody can do that. And I had a business. I was a sign painter who could work in any language because I couldn't read. But a letter is just a symbol. So I can do infinite number of letter styles that would represent an R or an L or a P or whatever. And in other languages, it would be a different symbol. But being dyslexic, and nobody knew what that was back then, you were just labeled as stupid. But I could go home at night, tear my motorcycle apart and put it back together. No manuals because I couldn't read. And automobiles, I could build things. And then I'd go sit in my own stupidity in school, not complaining because they didn't know what it was. And they were doing the best they could for me and for the other people there. We had a janitor's closet for a classroom. I mean, we were like segregated because we didn't get it. We were disruptive in class. I had my driver's license and a job and my own car paid for in the 8th grade. And so
I think we lost you, unless you are thinking.
No, I think we lost him too.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
we
have a
could
couple.
just listen to him for hours.
I know, I know. Say, I have a couple of questions. Would this be a good time to ask?
Sure.
Okay, so since I've been doing this great cure, I've also been using the sauna almost every day. And I have noticed, because I'm totally detoxing, my hair has gotten so greasy. It feels so gross. And then when you brush it, like you can see the strokes. I mean, it's so gross. Do you guys have any recommendations on what I can do to get through this as my body is detoxing? Because I don't even want to go out. I don't want anyone to see me because my hair looks so gross and it feels so gross.
What kind of brush are you using?
I have a wood brush. Well, it
Okay.
has wooden bristles because I remember you recommended me that one
Mhm.
time. I think this past winter when I had really staticky hair, and you're like, "Hey, wood brush."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I do have a plastic pick, and oh my gosh, Sara, all the gunk that is on my pick, I keep cleaning it every day just to see what comes off my scalp after I use the pick on my hair. It's gross. But anyways,
Um,
if you guys have recommendations, I appreciate it.
I'd keep using your wooden comb, and I mean, I don't know. I've never experienced that. Like usually you can kind of like massage it through, but maybe Toni would chime in on that.
There was a time that when I was also detoxing and I decided to not use any shampoo anymore, I had the same effect. And then after a couple of weeks, my hair started to get more curly again, like it used to be. And it actually became very beautiful. So I wouldn't use anything to, just to get rid of it because it's definitely something that needs to come out of your body right now.
Okay.
So look at it as a detox symptoms and embrace it. I mean,
Yeah.
there is a reason for it that it is as it is. and trying to wash it with something that would make it go away doesn't seem like the best option.
Are you
Because
Right.
this is,
showering right now?
I'm sorry.
So I have been rinsing my butt after I get out of the sauna. I'm so sweaty, and then I do a really cold shower for about 5 to 10 minutes. Just to stimulate that lymphatic system. And so I do use a little bit of soap on my body, and then I haven't been using any hair products because but then I'm like, oh my gosh, well, maybe I should be using shampoo. And I'm like, Toni, I'm like, no, because it's so nasty. But then I was like, no, this is so gross. It looks really gross. So then about every 3 days, I've been using a shampoo. And then I even thought, gosh, Katie, I wonder if I could just put like some baking soda on my head. Would that absorb some of the grease? Because like I said, it's really bad that I don't even want to leave. I don't want people to see me because it's really bad.
That's what I was thinking. Like if
Put a
you're
hat
wanting some
on.
so she could go out, go out. But try doing like a scalp massage also, like with your fingers.
Okay,
I wouldn't add anything else to it. Obviously you don't want to like rub your hair off of your scalp, but try to
right.
massage it through and then using your wooden comb or wooden brush, keep just trying to brush it through, get it to the ends, that kind of thing. I hear you though. Like when you got to go out somewhere though, and you're just like, I can't wear a hat everywhere. Um, yeah, I mean, a little dusting of the baking soda would hurt. Just don't make a cake on your head.
Okay. Okay.
You have more questions, Katie?
I do.
Okay.
And I mean, and I can save them till next week too. Okay, so that was one of them. And then another one that I was wondering about, since I'm doing the sauna, I haven't been dry brushing, because I'm like, oh, wait, when do I do this? Should I do it before I get in the sauna? Should I do it like maybe, because I do the saunas in the morning. And then I'm like, well, should I be doing my skin brushing maybe at night? Because I did notice that when I'm in the sauna, well, actually, it was like last week I was in the sauna and I had to itch my skin, and like all this stuff came up underneath your fingernails. And I'm like, oh, I should be dry skin brushing. And then I was like, but when is a good time to do that when you're using the sauna? So that was my next question.
I would keep it away from doing it at the sauna, or you can do it before.
Okay.
But what kind of sauna are you using?
Just a dry sauna.
Like
Um,
infrared?
Um, well, they have it, but I don't have that turned on. Seriously, it's just a dry sauna. It's an electrical sauna. Um, I don't know. It's at the gym. I just walk in and it's dry and it's hot. And then there's like a remote control where you can have different colors of lighting, and I've never turned that on.
Okay.
Um, yeah. It's
Yeah,
kind of
usually when you do dry brushing, you do it before you take a shower, for instance.
right. Okay, so maybe I'll do it before I jump in the sauna. Then I'll do my sauna, and then yeah. Okay, then my another question I have is that I was reading about how papaya seeds, if you eat papaya seeds like whole, they're really good at cleaning you out. Or maybe the parasites, I cannot remember exactly what it was, but it was something like, oh, maybe I should get some papaya seeds. And they talked about how you just eat them whole, don't break them, don't chew on them, because then you'll break down the magnetic energy of it, and you don't want to do that. And then so I was eating, so then we had a watermelon here, and Matt, it has seeds in it. And I was like looking at Matt, and he was pulling the seeds out. And I was like, wait a minute. I wonder if watermelon seeds would be the same thing as a papaya seed, and if Matt should be eating the watermelon seeds but not crunching them.
I don't know. Gary, Sarah, do you know?
I know most seeds do have a touch of poison in them,
Okay.
and so to chew them up might be an issue. Like I think it's arsenic in apple seeds. Now I've eaten apple seeds my whole life and I'm still here and I'm doing pretty good. So there's that part too. What the plants really want is us to spread the seed. So if we don't chew it and we swallow it, and it's really hard to digest, when we pass it, because now it goes into the septic system, but in nature it would go on the ground and it would have fertilizer with it.
Mhm.
And it could grow a plant because the tree or the bush or the shrub or whatever can't move. So it depends on us and it depends on other animals to do that job for them. And plants really rule the world because all we are is compost for the plant, but we've taken that away too. Um, we've gone completely against nature. And that's not everybody, but I'm saying science has gone against nature. So, I mean, I've eaten a lot of watermelon seeds over my life too, and that's why they're taking seeds out of things. They're taking the seeds out, making seedless grapes, seedless lemons, seedless this, seedless that. And you eat seedless, you become seedless. Not in your time, but generations down, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker because it's not vital anymore. It's not. If it can't reproduce, you can't reproduce. So those are things that we have to kind of watch out for. That's why it's harder and harder to find things with seeds in them because they're controlling that aspect of it. If you want to grow GMO corn or anything, the banks will give you all the money you want as long as you're fiscally responsible. But if you want organic seeds for your farm, the banks will not give you money. You have to find the money someplace else. And there are systems out there that are actually becoming more popular where they will give money to farmers who want to grow organic stuff, but you're not going to get it from the regular banks because the banks are controlled by the same people that control GMO seeds, which blew my mind when I found that out. So it's becoming more and more difficult to find seeded things, including people, because people are just youth kidney issues. Dr. Morse talks about this. I mean, there's more and more, and even severe kidney issues at birth than there ever has been. So it's going to take a lot to get them back online. Because as soon as all this stuff goes away, and we're creating it, as soon as all this stuff goes away, the body will just start to heal itself because it's eating exactly what you're supposed to be eating, tree ripened, sun ripened, fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables. But hardly any vegetable that's out there right now is what it was in its beginning. They've all been processed and crossbred to get even a carrot. So to me, wild is best. Like find an apple tree that's just growing in the wild. Those are the best apples when they're sun ripened because they're wild. That's why herbs are so powerful. They're still wild. And if you learn about them, and you don't need a lot of different herbs. Dandelions are for the kidneys, raspberry leaves for the kidneys and reproductive systems of both men and women. So yeah, and not worry about it. See, because we have this fear of our food now. And it's not that we can't have a lot of the stuff we can't have anymore because of this next phase of what they're doing. But the body is designed to get rid of everything. And that's we're taught that we're stuck with it. We're taught that we're the victim of it. And we're not. We are infinite beings in an infinite universe with infinite potential, living in a world of abundance, thought, fear, scarcity, and doubt. And that's all breath related. I mean, it all comes back to those same things: hydration, nutrition, oxygen, movement, grounding to the earth, and building a great story that goes with the infinite beings that we are. And that if we want to defeat corruption, just like that storm, right? They're in there. It went from like a 3 to a 5. And I don't know if you saw any of the videos, but you could actually see swirls and layers of things that have never been seen in a hurricane before. And then all of a sudden it went from a 5 to what, down to a 2 or a 1 or something. That's how powerful we are. In Washington, they had, I think it was 2,700 monks come there and pray for peace, and crime fell 27%. So people feel it. You know, it's like the difference between our frequency is a wave, comes through like this. And EMFs are pulsating. So they're like pulsating all over your body because we're not grounded. And that causes irritation on a cosmic level, and it causes dis-ease in the body. When you ground yourself, not only are you changing the blood, but it's like your house. In America, you can't have a building with electricity unless it's grounded. Well, we're electric and we're not grounded because we're wearing rubber-soled shoes. When you ground, all that tapping goes away because it goes over us and into the earth where it belongs, and we continue with the wave, and that's where our health is. To take what I have here, I have my tea here. Just to create energy. I don't know how many people out there know what an energy ball is, but we do an energy ball, right? And we just take our hand and put it over our tea, and water is an astringent, and the energy that's coming out of the palm of our hand that's healing goes into the water, and it becomes the frequency of our body. And when we drink it, it's a familiar frequency that helps heal. You can even tell it to heal. I mean, how simple this stuff is. And I'm just waking up to it. You know, we have to detox because that's what the body was meant to do. And they're just finding ways to paralyze us and freeze us. And what does a paralyzed mind do? Nothing. That was one of my favorite things. I mean, I did martial arts for 19 years. Then I realized a paralyzed mind can't do anything. So I'm really not a fighter. I don't like that stuff. So I learned through conversation how to paralyze a mind. And that's what's happening to the people. They're paralyzed. They don't know what to do. Oh, we're going to run out of toilet paper. Ooh, right? And they're fist fighting in the aisles. I mean, it's mind-blowing how easy it is to manipulate people. It's and that's what I'm working on now. I'm writing 2 books right now, one on herbs and one on what's going on in the world right now, like the big picture, boiled down to little examples. Because I grew up and I couldn't fit in the system. I see the system different than most people do. Now that I've learned to read and write, I don't read books anymore. I meditate, I ask, and I receive, because out there in the plasma is all memory, past, present, and future. And when we tune into it and we ask a question, the answer will come. And if, for me, if it's right, I laugh. I mean, like crazy laugh. Because I understand, I feel it. See, healing is a feeling. If you could think yourself well, not one person in the world would be sick. And because we're thinking, we're creating dis-ease in the body because we've lost touch with our heart. And you can breathe into your heart. Breathe in through the nose, just focus on your heart. You can touch your heart. And give it permission to expand, to blossom, to flourish. And it will. So,
Gary, we can listen to you for hours and hours. And I think if we don't interfere, you can keep going for hours too. That's beautiful.
well, thank you. And yeah, I owe it all to surrendering, to just letting go of all the crap from my past, because it's my past. And if I want to change it, I need to stop pulling it into the now and stop it from affecting my future. Because I have the power to do that. We all do.
Yeah, and we need to be aware that we do have that power. So it's very good that you bring that up again. And we are even past an hour and a half already. So we're going to save a little for next week.
All right.
You are so amazing. Every week you come up with some new stuff and we just listen.
We love learning. Thank you.
Well,
And
thank you for being open to listening.
mm-hmm. And Katie, we love all of your questions. Please keep them coming.
Yes. Yes. No, so I was
Yeah.
real quiet during that.
Yeah, I have to write them down. I think, I haven't been using my cell phone a lot because I'm still having some shoulder trouble, which Gary, I love listening to you today. So I was like practicing opening it up. So yeah, but I just need to carry my cell phone around so that when these questions pop into my head, I can write them down.
So
Anyway, thank you everyone for a great show. It's so fun to be here once again. I love learning. Gary, wow, I can't wait to connect with you.
yeah, I know. I'm excited too,
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about your shoulder?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Did you injure it?
No, you know what? I think it's from holding my cell phone because I used to do like everything on my cell phone. My Facebook post, this podcast, everything is on my cell phone.
Yeah.
And so I feel like holding my cell phone, I'm always leaning forward with my shoulder.
Okay.
So it's probably bad posture. So I'm really trying to remember, pull back. But
Okay.
yeah.
Well, when
So
I
I
come
was
down,
going to talk to you about that privately. So yeah.
yep, we'll do some EFT on it. We should be able to get rid of it.
Yeah, perfect. I'd love that.
All right.
Okay, bye, you guys. I love you all. We'll see you next week. Thanks
Thank
for
you all
everyone
so
being
much.
here.
And Toni,
Mhm.
glad you're safe and everything. And
Yeah.
keep sending prayers to you and everyone else that's been affected.
I
Much love
feel
for you
so
all.
blessed with all these caring people. I mean, it's amazing. So have a great day. Stay safe, Gary, on the roads.
Yes. Thank you.
And yeah, till I would say thanks all for being here. Much love to you all. Until the next time.
All right.